They kicked Elena Marlowe off the wagon like she was nothing. Her knees slammed into the burning Texas dirt so hard the sound echoed across the empty road. Dust shot up around her face, choking her as she tried to breathe. The men who dragged her there didn't even spare her a final look. Their horses trotted away lazily, leaving only a fading trail and the taste of humiliation sitting sharp on her tongue. Elena was just 19. Barefoot, scraped from shoulder to ankle, her thin white shirt torn open at the sleeve where she had fought to pull herself free. That same morning her father had shoved her through the back alley behind the Amarillo saloon, dragging her like he was hauling a sack of grain. His curses were louder than her cries. He blamed her for debts he created, for wrongs he caused, for failures he refused to own. When the saloon owner offered to clear a portion of that debt in exchange for his daughter, her father did not hesitate. Elena screamed. She begged. She twisted and pulled until her voice cracked. But her father shoved her forward and signed away her future like she was an unwanted mule. Inside the saloon, the humiliation grew sharper. Men stared at her like she was a spectacle. One slapped a table and laughed that she wasn't even worth the price of a cow with a broken leg. Elena wrapped her arms around her body, trying to make herself small, invisible, safe, but safety had never been hers. Then the door swung open. A man stepped through, Samuel Hart, a 54-year-old rancher known more by rumor than by name. Dust covered his hat. Scars lined his knuckles. Silence clung to him like a second skin, heavy enough to still the entire room. He walked to the bar without a word. Then he set down enough money to buy a strong horse. The saloon went dead quiet. The saloon owner counted the coins slowly, then nodded. She's yours, Hart. But if she runs, it's on you. A drunk at the poker table slammed his glass down. Better check her teeth first. Samuel didn't even turn. He simply looked at the drunk with eyes so cold and steady that the man's laughter died in his throat. Then Samuel looked at Elena. He didn't grab her. Didn't bark an order. He simply asked, quietly, "Can you walk?" Elena shook her head. Samuel didn't sigh or frown. He didn't show frustration or ownership. He simply knelt before her and asked in a low voice, "Can you stand?" Her legs trembled when she tried. She collapsed again, shame burning hotter than the dirt under her palms. He waited. Patient. Still. Then, gently, he lifted her, one arm under her knees, the other supporting her back, as if she were something fragile, something precious. Elena's tears spilled again, but not from fear. From confusion. Because nothing in her life had ever felt this careful. They rode out of Amarillo as the sun dropped low across the plains. The horse moved steady beneath them, Samuel keeping the pace slow so she wouldn't fall. Every few minutes he glanced back, not to intimidate her, but to check on her, to make sure she still held on. His kindness unsettled her more than cruelty ever had. At his ranch, she expected chaos, barking dogs, shouting men, slamming doors. Instead, she saw a small wooden porch, a rocking chair, a barn standing beside open fields. A horse grazed quietly near the fence. It was the first peaceful place she'd seen in years. Inside the cabin, the air smelled like cedar and old coffee. Samuel handed her a cup of water and stepped back, giving her space she didn't even know how to accept. "You're safe here," he said. "You can sleep. Nobody will come for you tonight." The word safe struck her like an arrow. No one had ever meant it, not for her. So she asked again, whispering, "Why did you pay for me?" Samuel leaned against the wall. For a moment he looked older than 54, like a man who had carried storms inside him for far too long. "Your father was selling shame," he said softly. "Not a daughter. I couldn't let that happen." Then he left to check the horses, leaving her alone with a truth she wasn't ready to carry. That night, after she noticed the single, spotless bed, corners tucked tight as if untouched, she wondered who the bed was really for. Samuel slept in the barn. He said the horses didn't ask questions. But Elena suspected that wasn't the real reason. Just as she curled up in the rocking chair, trying to quiet her mind, the heavy creak of wagon wheels rolled up the road. She froze. Samuel stepped onto the porch, eyes sharp. Two men climbed down, the same men who laughed at her earlier. "We're here for the girl," one said, like she was still for sale. Samuel didn't raise his voice. He didn't touch his gun. He simply stepped between Elena and the men. "She's not your business," he said quietly. "And she's not going anywhere with you." The taller man sneered. "Her pa signed papers. She's property." Samuel didn't blink. "Paper burns," he said. "And I've got a match." The man reached for his gun. Elena's hand darted toward a rusty horseshoe near the door, ready to defend the only person who had ever defended her. But the second man pulled his partner back. "He's crazy. Let it go. She ain't worth dying for." They climbed into the wagon and disappeared into the dark. Only when they were gone did Elena breathe again. Later, she sat by the fire, hands trembling. Samuel handed her a tin cup of water. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded. He studied her face with quiet understanding. "Those men will come again. Folks like that don't stop." She lowered her eyes, shame tightening her chest. "My father told them I was worthless." Samuel shook his head. "People say whatever makes them feel bigger. Truth doesn't need their approval." Those words struck something deep inside her, something she had never let herself believe. When the lamp flickered low, Samuel grabbed his coat. "It's one of those heavy nights. I'll sleep in the barn. You lock the door." Elena frowned. "You don't sleep in your bed." He gave a tired half-smile. "That bed is for someone who feels safe. I won't take the first sleep from you." She watched him walk into the barn, his silhouette bent under weight she didn't understand. Inside the cabin, she found a wooden box tucked beside the bed. Inside was a folded cloth, a worn Bible, and a faded photo of a woman smiling in front of the same cabin. Mary Hart. Something inside Elena softened. For the first time, she wondered what kind of love had lived within those walls before sorrow settled into them. She didn't take his bed. Instead, she curled near the fireplace, wrapped in a blanket until sleep finally held her. In the morning, she walked to the barn holding the picture. Samuel sat up slowly, eyes tired but gentle. "Is this your wife?" she asked. He took the photo carefully, thumb brushing the edge. "Yes. She passed years ago." "You still love her," Elena said quietly. He nodded. "Love doesn't end when a person does." They sat in silence for a long moment. Then she whispered, "Why did you help me? Why risk trouble for someone like me?" Samuel took a slow breath. "Because Mary would have wanted me to. Because no one should be thrown away the way you were. Because kindness has to start somewhere, even here." His words settled into her heart like a seed taking root. Later, sunlight spread over the ranch in warm gold. Elena stood on the porch, watching the land stretch wide and open. For the first time, she didn't feel like she'd been bought or rescued. She felt like she'd been given a chance to begin again. Samuel fed the horses in the barn without looking back. But she smiled anyway. Tomorrow no longer frightened her. And that is the quiet truth hidden inside their story. Sometimes the people who save us aren't the ones who shout the loudest. They are the steady ones, the gentle ones, the ones who refuse to let the world break another soul. And sometimes the hardest part is believing we deserve a second chance at all.